Okay, so welcome everybody to Mental Health Mondays. Today we're going to have Miss Diane from Reins. I'm Jeremy Gordette. I'm the current Crisis Response and Assessment Vista here at Mental Health America of Greenville County. We want to thank you guys again for coming on. We do want to ask that during the presentation you have your mics muted just in case there's any background noise. We'd rather that not jump in. I know for me, I'm always worried about my dog who starts barking. So I try to keep my mic muted as well when I can. If you have any questions that you'd like asked, feel free to send them in the chat. I also know that Diane's going to open up to questions at some point. So when she does that again, you can either send them in the chat and we can ask them for you, or feel free to unmute yourself at that time and ask your questions. With that, they have just a short video that they'd like to share, and then we will pass it on to Diane to tell us about Guiding Reins. All right, with that, I'd like to pass it on to Diane, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Guiding Reins today.
All right, thank you, Jeremy. After those photos, I tell you, it still gets me every time when I watch that. They speak for themselves. So here's our mission statement. I'm not going to read it to you. I'll just kind of let you read it and just kind of answer your question. What is my why for doing this? While I volunteered for the last 13 years at other therapy writing programs in our area, I saw a need for an equine-assisted therapy program in our area, specifically targeting this population of veterans, military personnel, first responders, and their families. So in 2019, I founded Guiding Reins as a nonprofit after years of research and classes and connections with mentors. Did a soft launch August of 2019. Connected with Prisma Health, Greenville VA, with a few of them that are on this call today, and applied for the 2020 Adaptive Sports Grant for the first time for equine therapy. And we got everything that we asked for so that we could offer this service to veterans at no cost to them. Also, another good point with the Adaptive Sports Grant, it was driven behind Congressman Andy Barr from Kentucky, and he submitted an amendment in July of this year to increase the funding for equine-assisted therapy by $5 million to provide grants to organizations like Guiding Reins offering equine-assisted therapy. So Winston Churchill, we all know the saying, behind something that is outside of the horse is good for the inside of the man, and that is so true. So, why horses? When you're near a horse, you have to practice your art of keeping your energy in a good spot. It's just so natural. We know that horses are prey animals, so they have a calm influence. The next time you're driving around your neighborhood and you see horses in a pasture, just take a peek, take a look at them and realize and notice how calm they are. Horses live in a behavior-based society of the herd, which we all know. And living in the herd keeps them safe as they interact. And also distinguishes the pecking order of the herd of the horses in the herd. It is proven that horses can accurately read 93% of human behavior and emotion. And horses live in the moment. They are so non-judgmental. They don't care about what you're wearing, what you had for lunch yesterday. They are just present and in the moment. And that's a really good practice for all of us. I know I have to work on it when I'm around my guys. I mean, they don't care if you are distracted and thinking about what you're going to do in the next 30 minutes. They don't want to be with you. They are in the moment, something that we all need to work on. Horses' behavior does mirror our emotions, whether it's anxiety. They can sense it before you hit the gate. And so if you come in angry, your horse is going to be angry. Some of it's anger, fear. They definitely can sense fear, anxiety, and they also can sense calmness. If you're calm, they're calm. And also, you must work at a slow pace, be very quiet in your demeanor. And this is something that's good for the human because it causes you to do the same thing. Again, you've got to be very aware of your emotions when you're working with horses. Being with your horse should be peaceful and quiet, and it should be enjoyable for both the human and the horse. Again, the horse is not going to want to be around you if you are not present, if you're distracted. They need 100% of your attention emotionally and spiritually deep within. And your body language. Again, if you're quick to jerk around and grab the shovel, grab the halter, they then begin to question your meaning, and then they have to decide whether they're going to trust you or not trust you. So again, it causes you to be as present as you have to be. And studies are proven and out there that horses can smell adrenaline and sync your heart rate with the human. There actually is equipment out there that we can put on the human and put on the horse and see the data where the heart rates are synced. It's pretty cool. So here are some statistics. This is another reason of my why. Over 30%, at least over 30%, it's probably higher now, veterans suffer with some form of PTSD. And we have to remind ourselves that these men and women are coming home every single day. Another horrific statistic is that 22 veterans are committing suicide every single day. So there's another part of my why. There's a study out that 23 subjects published earlier from the Journal of Military Medicine found that equine-assisted therapy treatments improved self-esteem, eased PTSD symptoms, and increased a veteran's ability to work and engage in daily tasks. And many of us already know and suspect that research has barely scratched the surface of the benefits of humans interacting with horses. Studies are starting to come up, but there's still a lot that needs to be produced out there to the general public. Okay, our curriculum. It is 16 weeks, and we divided it into 2 8-week sessions, either one-on-one therapy or in group environments. Usually our group sessions are up to 3 participants, because if you get more than 3 participants, 3 horses, 3 volunteers, an instructor, and a therapist, it can get pretty crowded. We offer the first sessions as mandatory 8 sessions of groundwork. to first of all, help the participants get over any fears or concerns, but also you have so much more of a connection with the horse on the ground than you do under saddle. And we have a couple of veterans that show up, and the first thing they say is, when can I ride? And we say, well, you've got to perfect this groundwork first. And once they get into it and see the connection of working a horse, like what we say at Liberty, where there's no halter, no lead line involved, and they can make a horse turn with the move of their shoulder and a round pin, then all of a sudden the question of when are we going to ride goes out the window. But after they do their 8 weeks of ground, the instructor and the therapist and myself, we get together and decide if they're ready to move on to mounted therapy and learn to ride. We actually just had a veteran join us who has no interest in riding. He just wants the groundwork and the connection to help him work through some of his issues. So here's one of our veteran participants doing some of the grooming and the groundwork. And then we also, on the left, we do a great exercise on the ground. This is what we call a trust walk. Trust is hard to obtain and easily lost. And this was a great exercise where the veteran leading the horse is blindfolded, and the other participant has to guide them through his voice and direction. And it was interesting when I asked these two what was the harder role to play, they both said it was harder to give direction than it was to lead a 1,000-pound animal blindfolded. And then on the right, we did this last week. We do lessons in the arena, but it was such a beautiful day last week. We decided to just take them out in nature and take them on a trail ride, and they really, really enjoyed it. We're actually going to plan another one tomorrow because the weather's so beautiful right now. Okay, so how do we calculate that this is working? Prior to each session, whether it's ground or riding, we have the participants fill out a questionnaire. And the topics are generally if they suffer from insomnia, anxiety, fatigue, any physical ailments. I think I had Jeremy, didn't I have the topics on here? There we go. Feeling detached, feeling pain, irritability, and they rate them on a scale of 1 to 10 on how they're feeling on these subject matters when they arrive for session. We then do the session and then have them complete the same questionnaire at the end of each session. So we have this graph so you can see the results. You see we have vet A and vet B. Red and green are the pre-session, and the yellow and blue columns are the post-session. And then we have the first subject matter is general anxiety, then we have feeling detached, physical pain, irritability, fatigue, and energy. And as you can see, in all those subject matters, they drastically improved. Does everybody, can you understand this graph? Because at first when I looked at it, I had to really study it. Does anybody have any questions about the graph? It kind of speaks for itself. Okay, and we can do questions, Jeremy, in the end. Here are some of the comments that the veterans made after their session that I took directly from their questionnaires. Okay, these are these were their goals. We asked them what their goals are when they arrive for the sessions. You know, this is just not being with horses in a pony ride. We have obstacles, we have goals, we have challenges, and we have objectives. So these were, I took these actual quotes from some of the questionnaires on what their goals were for the session for the day. Lower anxiety, maintain mood, feeling more at peace, get connected, that's a lot. And a lot of times they write just to learn to relax. And then after the session, I pulled some comments that they wrote as well that I'll let you read that speak for themselves. Again, those questionnaires, so that's proof for us, that data and those graphs help me to write for grants, because that's the first thing we ask is what materials are using to measure the data to show that this works. And when you put those graphs up, it's hard to argue with that. We often forget that it's not just the veteran who suffers. That's why our mission statement is clearly for this population and their family members. We have acquired some funding, a lot of private family, friend, local community donations to cover costs for spouses for the same service. The grants that we get through the VA are specifically only for veterans. And this is a comment from a veteran's wife when we first started in January. I'll let you read that. Pretty powerful. Now, this is a letter that I got just recently, last week, from a spouse who was actually in the program with her husband. So we had room for her and we had funds, so we told her she can come on. I'll quit talking so you can read her letter. Speaks for itself. She actually just sent that to me last week, so that's why I thought I was very, very humbled by it, very glad I could share it with all of y'all. So if you had to ask me right now, what is our biggest hurdle? And of course it's due to COVID, is getting the word out to veterans that we're here to serve and the service is available to them. We cannot, of course, get in and see people and speak. Thank goodness I can speak through this avenue, but that's why we want to pass this information along to you so you can pass it along to others that this is available. And I have now a veteran who has been through our program and is about to complete his session with Guiding Reins and is going to be kind of our ambassador that we're going to move into another program. We got to talking, we get so connected with these folks and they get connected with their horse. And one veteran made a comment to me, he said, man, I'm gonna really hate to tell Bugsy goodbye. So we put our heads together and thought, let's start a program to where if the veterans, when they complete it, they go through volunteer training and could then serve as a volunteer. And we would put that specific volunteer with that horse because they know that horse. They know that horse doesn't like bug spray or that they're kind of nibbly. And that they could stay on with us, and what better project than veteran helping veterans. So with that, I'm going to introduce you to Daniel. Daniel, can you unmute your mic? And I'm going to let Daniel tell you about his military background and his experience with Guiding Reins. It's all you, Daniel.
Hey everyone, I'm Daniel Selby, and I was in the 25th Infantry Division in the Army, and I was an infantryman assigned to PSD. Personal Security Detachment is what that means, for those of you who aren't aware. And so our job was to escort the colonel around wherever he needed to go in Iraq when we got there. So I went on a deployment, lost a really close friend, and ended up being medevaced. And so after that, I spent about 6 more months in and ended up getting out after that. From there, I kind of lost touch for a really long time. It really wasn't until 2015 that I started to say, hey, there's something. I got out in 08, and it wasn't until 2015 that I started to address PTSD issues. Just kept checking no on the box. Just didn't think. I had buddies who had seen a lot more combat than I had, and so I I just didn't think I rated it. And so I started treatment, and I've been through CBT, CPT, DBT, and this guiding rings by far has been the most effective treatment I've had. So I forget Diane, how exactly we got in touch. I think Heidi found you guys, right?
Yeah,
My wife.
You came to our open house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
So I went to their open house, got introduced with everyone, and started coming to sessions after I was accepted in the program. And I started out with a horse named Mickey, and we connected right away. And it was really cool. And you could see the graph just kind of over time. Like I was really an anxious mess there. I'm not sure if one of those data pieces are mine or not. But my graph is, I know just from writing down, is very similar to that. And so Mickey and I worked together for a while. And after working with Mickey, Diane's really right about having to sit there in the moment with the horse. There's no time to be anxious. They're big animals. And so you really got to pay attention. And some of it is actual compassion for the animal too. It's like, if you're really anxious and nervous and jumpy, that's kind of how the animal reacts too. So you really don't want a 1,000-pound animal acting in that manner. So we found out really quick that we had to adjust our demeanor. And so that's really kind of what started the healing process there. And I ended up switching horses. Now I work with Rooster, and Rooster is a great horse, and I've connected with him right away too. And every week we make leaps and bounds, and we accomplish goals, and it's been really effective over the long term to help me get back into working and stuff. And so I just started a business that I had running again, and that's a really big step for me. I might be able to start driving again, another huge step for me. And then I've been getting out a lot more because I wasn't getting out hardly at all. It's just a really good program. It's helped me out a lot.
Thank you, Daniel.
You're welcome.
So I also wanted to make the comment too, if there's any of you that want to work with us, we have a therapist who's working with a veteran who referred him to Guiding Reins. We do sessions once a week, and she said she could not come out once a week, but she's going to come once a month to participate with our therapist in his session as well. So I wanted to throw that out there too. I think now we could just open it up for questions. If anybody has questions, fire away. I do also want to say too, we are COVID compliant. We try to keep the group sessions at a number of 10. We do wear masks when we're together and working around the horses and tacking up, but when you automatically social distance with a horse, you pretty much do have to stay 6 feet apart. So when the participants do get mounted, because they're working, they're physically walking, trotting, they'll pull their mask down once the volunteer steps away. But we had to write a protocol, send it in to the VA and Prisma. So we are compliant with COVID right now as well too. And it's just nice being outside. Any questions? Well, I guess, Daniel, maybe we answered everything. If you got, that's a good question for Daniel. Somebody asked, how do the participants take the lessons learned into everyday life?
Sure. A lot of times after sessions, my anxiety is a lot lower. And so when I go back into real life, it kind of gives me a basis to work on relationships and to approach things a lot more logically. when I'm in a very anxious mood, I tend to be a lot more illogical about things, and being less rational does not translate well into communication. So I think communication is really a big piece, and how it's kind of multifaceted. So you have body language with the horse. So the horse has to read your body language. You have voice commands. And so you work on communication a lot, and the lowering of anxiety to get to the point allows me to communicate outside of the arena to people in a much more effective manner than I would if I was anxious.
We also have a veteran who shared with us, we do breathing exercises before we start the session, before they pick up a brush and start grooming, which has really helped because one veteran shared with us that it normally would take him about 20 minutes once he got there just to get his heart rate down and stop shaking from his anxiety. He said we kind of talked with him about halfway through the program as to what he was getting out of it, how is he feeling, because we're new, we're tweaking it, we're learning. And he said first of all, he comes on Tuesdays. He said, you can ask my wife, he said, I sleep the best on Tuesday nights. He said when he would leave Guiding Reins, depending on the kind of week he had, the calm, peaceful feeling he would have and in control that he could get through his daily life would last, he said, sometimes a half a day, maybe a day. He says it now will last, depending on the kind of week he has, 4 or 5 days after he leaves Guiding Reins. So we all said, wow, wouldn't it be a great goal that if we could get him to hold that feeling for 6 days to the 1 week, the 7th day that he comes back to Guiding Reins. So the effect is pretty profound. Is there any other? I'm looking at the chat here.
I had a quick question. Have you guys looked into doing any data like that as far as what they're, on those different topics, as far as how they felt 3 days out, 5 days out from each session?
Yes, we were studying some other, all the courses there, as you know, there's tons of measuring tools out there, or we could create our own. So we might add that as an addition or a separate, not questionnaire, but like a caveat to what we're asking them. Or maybe we've talked about asking if they would do journaling throughout the week when they're not with us. And that might help as well. Connor, have I forgotten anything on your end?
I actually just had an idea a question for Daniel. Hey, Daniel. So we have this program and we have these veterans like yourself going through this program, and you've experienced the full, if not 360 of these effects that are real and are happening for yourself. If I have a veteran that, I see may be beneficial for this program, how would, from your perspective as a veteran and your, participation in the program and completion in the program, how would you best approach or say, kind of in a way sell them on just getting them out to the program to try it? Because, like yourself, it wasn't an easy step for you. So how would you best go about selling, this opportunity to the veterans to get out here and just try?
That is a very tough question. It depends really kind of where they're at in their process. For me, I was barely getting out of the house, so my wife dragged me there, and so
right.
I
and
really
sometimes it's hard for veterans to get off the couch sometimes, and
Sure.
As silly as that may sound, it's true. So I just wondered if there were certain approaches with you as the vet that would maybe better get them a probable outcome of attending, other than just saying, hey, I got this program in a partnership with Guiding Range, come out and try it. It's equine therapy. Well, that sounds, just like a checklist to a lot of the veterans. So what would be, and maybe this may be something we can over time figure out, the best way to sell these veterans for an overall better outcome of life and quality of life.
I think that something that would really help is if you were to just say, hey, I've seen people go through this and the results, it's had. Just come out and see the horses. You don't have to do anything. Just come out one day, just see the horses. That's it.
Yeah.
And it can be as short or like, for me, a lot of it with PTSD is controlling the environment. And so just allow them to like, look,
Just
you can
be.
leave if you want to. Yeah, it's no big deal. Just all I want you to do is come out there and just hang out with the horse for a little bit. And so for me, yeah, it was really, and so, I mean, it's not like I'm cured, but it's helped out a lot. So it's about controlling the environment. So the less hyper vigilant you have to be, the better off you are. And so having a means of like getting out of there would be pretty powerful. So just say, hey, let's come out, see the horses, and then, if you don't feel comfortable, you can take off. Just put your hands on a horse,
Cool. All right. I appreciate that. Hey, I may need you to come, and I may need you to come to the VA for when we start back up our when I do my presentations.
Yeah.
I might need you as our advocate, Daniel.
He's our ambassador.
All right.
But that's the thing too. We did have two group events planned that so that veterans could just come out. We were just going to have a few horses in the covered arena. Like Daniel said, let somebody touch if they wanted to groom, because that's what I've learned is veterans like to see where they're going to be or where they're going to go before they actually show up. And of course, we had to cancel both group events, so it's really been tough. Getting the word out and getting them there. So, maybe we could just do an open day every Friday, and then just to let folks know if they want to come check us out, love on a horse, and see if they might be interested. Because that's been the biggest hurdle. That's been really, really tough. And it's tough to begin with, and COVID has added to it to get the word out to the veterans that we're here and it's safe and it's private, very safe horses. And so hopefully we can get a group event going sooner than later, if they'll allow it.
I think crowds are another big piece. So to keeping the crowd low would be pretty, just like, hey, it's just going to be us there kind of thing, maybe a couple other people.
Right.
Yeah, maybe do it like an appointment, Connor.
Right.
All right, any other questions? I think I got them all here. All right.
One. I think I saw on your guys' website that you do, like, this service is open to anyone dealing with PTSD, or is it specifically military and like law enforcement?
Well, the grant that we have through Connor, through the VA, it will only cover veterans. But we are working, like I said, we do have funding and donations for spouses. We're open to looking into that and pursuing additional funding and grants for that. I mean, we could do it. We could start off small, but yeah, I just would tell you, if you have somebody that'd be interested, just give us a call and we'll talk it out and see how we can. Because actually, somebody told me there was some additional funding. I wasn't sure if it was for military, but it was for PTSD sufferers that I'm going to pursue as well. So I just say, when in doubt, give us a call and let's see what we can work out, because we're there and the funding's coming in.
Awesome.
All right.
Anybody have any more questions for them, guys?
I think that's it.
All right, I'm going to thank you guys again for coming on. Feel free to stick around here for a minute. We are going to have Talia is going to tell us a little bit more about Mental Health America Greenville County. So Talia, I'll let you go ahead and share your screen and take it away.
Okay, perfect. Do we want this part to be recorded?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, while I'm getting that together, thank you guys again for joining us. We are grateful for Guiding Reins for being here. So thank you guys again. I also want to thank Jeremy for coordinating this. He's done a great job with these Mental Health Mondays. Sorry, that's my dog. If y'all can see that, I'm not sure. Okay, but yeah, thank you guys again. Come on.
top right.
There we go. Awesome. I'll try to keep this brief. Just a quick overview about who we are at Mental Health America of Greenville County. Again, my name is Talia Riddick Waters. I am the Education and Engagement Coordinator here. So going forward, once Jeremy ends his service here, you'll probably be hearing a lot more from me and Emily Kate, who is on this call as well. So just again, quickly, we'll go over kind of who MHAGC is and what we do, and then some ways that you can stay involved with what we're doing here. Just some quick statistics. So if you haven't heard this already, 1 in 5 adults will have a diagnosable mental health condition in any given year, pardon me, which means, you know, we all know somebody that, you know, has dealt with this or has been diagnosed. And 50% of those people, well, half of those people will develop that condition by age 14, which means a lot of our intervention needs to start earlier for these youth and teens. Oops, okay, there we go. So again, speaking of, you know, youth and teens and needing to start early, we know that the rates of youth depression has just skyrocketed. Again, this is in 2014, so there's even more recent statistics, and the climb, it just keeps climbing, and that's both in youth depression and suicide rates. So as you mentioned earlier, you know, with the veterans dying by suicide each day, our teens are suffering at a staggering rate as well. So again, this is access to services. So access to insurance increased. So that means that more access to treatment did. But obviously with the, you know, expansion of Medicaid, 19% remain uninsured in states that did not expand Medicaid, obviously creating another barrier to access to care, while 13% remain uninsured in states that did expand Medicaid. So obviously the states that did not expand Medicaid, South Carolina being one of them, there's a higher percentage of people that did not remain insured. Which kind of goes into our next piece. Oops, there we go, sorry. Goes into our next piece of, in South Carolina, we ranked 49th in how well individuals needing services could access them, which isn't great. There's 50 states and we also include Washington, DC. So we are kind of at the bottom for a lot of those. You'll see here that the lighter colored states have better access. And then obviously these blue states over here and us are ranked lower. So again, just those different barriers of insurance, providers, and some of those different things we did not score too well in, unfortunately. I believe in 2020 we did move to 46 though, so there is some positive outlooks with that. Obviously, we're not where we want to be, but if we can continue that climb, there's a lot of efforts being made. So our mission here at MHAGC is positively impacting mental health through advocacy, awareness, and service. You'll see advocacy, awareness, and service is underlined. We'll go into kind of what that means here with our organization. So what does MHAGC do? We're one of more than 320 affiliates in the United States. So there are quite a few of us. There's, I believe, 4 or 5 here in South Carolina. We don't all do the same things. We're all, you know, kind of divided and conquering throughout the state. So if you've ever seen another MHAGC or another Mental Health America, my apologies, you know, we try to work in conjunction with our other affiliates. We've been here in the upstate for 65 years. So this started back in 1955 as kind of a grassroots effort made by volunteers, just kind of realizing that there's some services that weren't here and trying to bridge those gaps. Again, going back into those 3 buckets, we offer a lot of programs to really create an environment of wellness. Sorry, it's Google Slides. Okay, going back to those 3 buckets, starting with advocacy, we do a lot of that through our consumer services. So representative payee, Operation Santa Claus, and housing support. We'll go a little bit more into that. Awareness like this, our outreach and training. So I See Hope, QPR, our mental health screenings, Outreach and Speakers Bureau, and then also our Teens for Hope program. Through service, which is mostly our crisis intervention services and programming, which you all may be a little more familiar with. So our crisis line, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, Teen Line, Reassurance Line, our GCBH, which is Greenville County Behavioral Health AmeriCorps programs, our Survivors of Suicide Loss support group, and then also Community Crisis Response and Intervention line. So again, crisis line here is our line here in the upstate. Anybody can call 24 hours, 7 days a week. You do not need to be in a quote unquote crisis to call. People are there to listen non-judgmentally. You know, whatever you're going through at whatever time of day, you'll see again on our card to the left here, anyone, anytime, any reason, someone is going to be there to answer that call. So that number is 864-271-8888. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Currently, we are the only call center that serves South Carolina. Unfortunately, the other 3 locations did have to close due to lack of funding. So we are the only one here in South Carolina. So anybody with a South Carolina area code will get someone in our call center, which is important because if you were to call and get somebody in, you know, Florida, they just wouldn't be familiar with our resources here in South Carolina. So getting somebody that's local is super important. And again, kind of bridging those gaps in services. Again, that is a 24/7 line. You do not need to be suicidal to call. So again, that's there for any reason, anytime, and any person. Our teen line is the same as our crisis line. It's just geared towards teens. We really try to have a peer-to-peer focus. Obviously, teens are not available 24/7, so we do still have people staffing those lines. With that, there's also that text service you'll see. So if a teen were to text teen line to 839-863, they would be connected with somebody in our call center to answer those texts, because we know that, you know, the younger they get, texting is just preferred and is a little easier. So our reassurance line, that is a different line. It's a warm line where we make calls out to different clients. The reasons we may do that is for medication reminders, reminders to, you know, clean up your apartment, to call a friend, go for a walk. So those are really geared towards the clients to kind of just promote, you know, independent living, while making sure, you know, we're able to keep track of their well-being. So there's a lot of different things that we do throughout that reassurance line, but it's really just to keep people kind of centered. We serve both Greenville and Spartanburg County, so our reach is quite wide with that reassurance line. And although we make calls out to these clients, they're also able to call us again 24/7 if they have more immediate needs or really just need to talk. And so we're really trying to prevent you know, hospitalizations, incarcerations with these clients that you know, deal with more chronic mental illnesses. So, you know, we need you here. Again, we're so thankful for you being here. And we just kind of want to go into how you can make a difference. So I know this was a lot of words. Our QPR trainings, which Jeremy has also been doing, is our question, persuade, refer programming. It's similar to CPR, where, you know, you're dealing with, you know, kinds of warning signs of suicide or, you know, symptoms and signs of depression. It's kind of an informational class to kind of just provide you with the basics of intervening in times of crisis. So until you can get that person connected with some different resources. So those are offered throughout the month. And I'm sure Jeremy will share kind of our list going forward if you're interested in that. It's typically just a 1-hour training. So if you're available, you know, we'd love to have you for that as well. So volunteering on that Lifeline, Crisis Line, Teen Line, we would love to have more volunteers. We heavily rely on volunteers. So if you're interested and have some time to spare, we would absolutely love to have you in our doors, you know, on those lines. Becoming a member. So there's a couple different things that come with a membership. Obviously, you know, being a part of kind of the more inner workings of our organization. We'd like to invite people to come be part of our fundraisers, our end of the year meetings, and some of those different things that, again, are just kind of more behind the scenes. An easy way to get involved is joining our mailing list and following us on social media. Keep it, up to date with what we're doing. You guys are a huge mouthpiece for us with spreading the word, talking about those online screenings that can be accessed through our website, so just www.mhagc.org. Our Operation Santa, which is a annual drive we have that provides, toiletries, kind of some fun things, essentially, a holiday present for those with chronic mental illness here without the county. We also do serve a homeless population with that. So if you yourself are interested in donating any goods, we do have an Amazon link, or also there's some more information on our website as well. If you're a part of a group that may be interested in, donating or volunteering some time, kind of packing up the goods, we would love to have you guys involved in that as well. Earlier, I just quickly mentioned our Teens for Hope. It is a teen advisory board here in Greenville County that consists of, 8th graders and up from out the county that will come and, just talk about behavioral health topics. So, mental illness, eating disorders, dating violence. It's really youth-led. So if you know a teen that is interested in being involved, or if you feel like, you may have a good topic to bring to the table, we would love to have you there as well. And then obviously, just kind of enhancing your knowledge of mental health issues and services here in the community. And then scheduling an education session for you and your group from us, or other partners that do similar things in the area, just again, so you're more familiar with the services in case you need to, refer people to these different services. There we go. So again, our QPR is the question, persuade, refer. These are just steps that can help save a life and intervene. It's only about an hour, and we believe that these skills are, applicable for everybody. Going back to the volunteers, again, if you're available to spare some time, the training is fairly comprehensive, so we're not just gonna throw you to the wolves. You'll be adequately trained to be able to support those people that call in. If you're interested in that membership, like I talked about earlier, there is that website, www.mhagc.org/become a member. Or if you're, tech savvy and you want to scan this QR code, please do so as well. And I can bring that back up at the end if anyone's interested. Again, joining our mailing list, we send out a newsletter every so often. We have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Feel free to connect with us on any of those platforms. Our mental health screening, so again, you can access those at mhagc.org. These are kind of our different things. So you see depression, anxiety, youth, addiction, caregiver survey, work health survey. So some of those different things, those are, free, confidential. We will not be able to see, who takes them or any of that. So please know this is also, kind of just a roadmap. It isn't a diagnostic tool, but it's a way to kind of get that conversation started if you do, you are concerned about any of these things for yourself or anybody else. Oh, gee, sorry, y'all. Again, Operation Santa, we're providing gift bags and hygiene items to people in the upstate who live with chronic mental illness. And again, we do also serve a homeless population as well. Teens for Hope, again, that youth advisory board. If you know a teen or you're interested in maybe, providing some insight or direction, that email is teensforhope@mhagc.org. Again, we're here for y'all. We serve the community. So if you do have any questions or interested in, contacting us, connecting with us, mhagc@mhagc.org is a good way to get a hold of us. You'll see that Outreach and Speakers Bureau. It has speakers in the community from a wide variety of topics. Again, youth, drug and alcohol use, obviously us with, mental health and suicide prevention. So there's a wide range of topics if you're interested in just some other topics that other groups can come share with you. There we go. And thank you guys. I know I ran through that quickly. I wanted to be conscientious of your time. Again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Guiding Reins. Thank you, Jeremy. If you guys have any questions, please do reach out. Again, all those email addresses are available on our website, which is www.mhagc.org. And we look forward to connecting with you guys in the future. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming out today. Talia, thank you for that. Diane, Daniel, we can't thank you guys enough for jumping on the share today. And again, feel free to email us if you guys have anything else that you'd like to ask. But thank you guys so much.
Jeremy, I'm interested in the QPR training, so should I email you that for our group?
Yes, go ahead and email me and I can send you out a link and all the dates. And they're also all shared on our Facebook page as well.
Okay, yeah, because that was on our list of things to do. Great, thank you so much.